fruit. And Galatians 5:22 and 23 is consistent with 1 Corinthians chapter number 12. Turn there quickly. 1 Corinthians chapter number 12. Keep your finger in Galatians chapter number 5. I want you to turn to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter number 12. We're going to parlay into chapter 13, the entire chapter. We're not going to read it, but we're going to get there. But I want you to look at chapter 12 because chapter 12, verse number 31 in particularly, preempts chapter 13. Look at the language in verse number 31. But covet earnestly the best gifts. Now he says, and yet show I unto you, notice this, a more excellent way. I show you a more excellent way. You see that in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 31. The Apostle Paul says, I show you singularly a more excellent way. He says there is a more excellent way than everything I just disclosed and everything I just argued. This is so good. Singularly, a excellent way, one excellent way. Notice that. And then in chapter 13, though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not, watch this, charity, I am becoming as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. We call this the love chapter in chapter 13 of 1 Corinthians. We call it the love chapter. The first thing is we do what we do have done wrong traditionally. We started with chapter 13, verse 1. We should never have done that. We have to plant and pivot to gain momentum as a runner. You don't just start a race. You get on your blocks. You get on your mark. Then you get set, and then you go. The mark of 1 Corinthians 13. The mark of 1 Corinthians 13, chapter 1, is 1 Corinthians 12. That's where you get on your mark, and that's where you get set, because you lunge into chapter 13, seeing chapter 13, and all of the subsequent wording that's given, all of the wording that's given. You see that as a more excellent way. Because unless you see it as a more excellent way, you'll see chapter 13 as, poetic, as optional, sounding good, interesting, great reading, hyperbole perhaps. But I don't want you to see it like that. I want you to see it from chapter 12, that vantage point, that mark set. Now, go straight into chapter 13. And see charity as a more excellent way. See love in action, really, as a more excellent way. Have we established that? So I won't hold. It's a lot of notes. I know. I'm trying to slow down. See love as a more excellent way. Paul says, yet I show you, watch this, a more excellent way. And then in chapter 13, he's giving you, amen, a listing of really the attributes of love, what love is and what love is not. So you can better understand love. Because again, in our human experiences, in our degenerative nature, we truly don't. We think we understand love. And it's all relative. It's all subjective to our experiences. And people bring their dysfunctional view of love, their distorted picture of love into relationships. And they're trying to make wholesome relationships out of a distorted, amen, love. A defective love, a dysfunctional ability, an impaired love system through failures in their past. And they bring that baggage, and that baggage warps their perception of what love is. And so people, watch this, it's not that they're unwilling to love you right. Sometimes it's a matter of them being incapable of loving you right because they have never known this kind of love. And people can only give you what they've become, shapen by their experiences. And if you look in chapter 13, verse 13, and now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three. Notice this. I'm consistent. This is consistent. This is so good. This is so consistent. In chapter 12, in verse 31, it's a more excellent way. Chapter 13, verse 13, the greatest of these is charity. The greatest of these is love. There abideth faith, hope, charity, these three. But the greatest out of all three. Now, we've established that. Go to Galatians 5 and 22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love. No wonder love is listed first. Because truthfully, the greatest is love. The more excellent way is love. Love. Love is the key. Love is the way. This is not cliche. This is consistent with Scripture. Everything begins with love. Why does everything begin with love? Why does Paul list in Galatians 5:22 love first and really as the fruit? And everything that lists after that, really, these are characteristics of love. Are you writing? So unfortunately, because we didn't know that, we talk about these are the fruits of the Spirit. But truthfully, there's only one fruit, and that's love. And everything subsequent, what he lists, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, and temperance, all of those things are the qualities of love. They all spring out, if you will, from love. Love really is the fruit. And all of these manifestations, these are outward expressions and characteristics and attributes that actually confirm